okay?
Get away from me, I'm fine!
Coming up, Ensign Rutherford's alter ego takes over his body and wreaks havoc aboard the Cerritos.
Give me back my body! This is my body!
Will he be able to regain control, or will he forever be a prisoner in his own mind?
Starfleet, get your Starfleet! Prepare yourself for Warp 10 excitement!
Meanwhile, Mariner and Boimler are stuck on Starfleet recruitment duty as they endure insult after insult.
I'm about to shove one of those artifacts up your ass!
Don't, just stay focused.
Can Mariner keep it together, or will her quick temper get her demoted?
Oh, shut up!
All of this and more coming up on the Lower Decks edition of Energize.
Energize. Energize.
We're satirically going into the uncharted regions of the Star Trek universe.
You're listening to Energize, a Star Trek Lower Decks edition podcast, your source for hilarious analysis, colorful debate, and fun discussions about adventures of Ensign Beckett Mariner and the USS Cerritos Lower Decks crew.
I'm your host, Anthony McLemore.
And I'm Steve Truitt.
This week, Rutherford's past pays him an unexpected and frightful visit.
While Mariner and Boimler take Starfleet recruitment to the next level.
Here's a warp speed recap of Episode 5 of Star Trek Lower Decks, Reflections.
Ow!
You okay, Rutherford? Man, you look white.
I haven't slept in a week. I keep having the same crazy nightmare.
Looks like you've got some long-term memories stuck in the buffer.
Ah, my f***ing head. Holy moly. What the heck is happening here? Hey, let me out of here. Hey, you, give me back control of my body. Psst, nah, dude, this is my body. You already effed it up.
Rutherford, are you okay? Let me take a look at your implant.
Get away from me, I'm fine.
Ensign, tend to sickbay. I need an emergency medical team on deck 11.
Ensign Rutherford is still himself, but his memory and personality are from a decade ago.
So we're both us. I mean, me. But if you take over, won't I get erased? Yeah, only one of us can walk out of here. We have to choose. And I choose me.
All right, Steve, so this week we got some backstory on Ensign Rutherford, and an actual juicy one.
Yeah, I really loved this episode. I like it when they talk about one character and when they do it in Star Trek and we get some stuff that we didn't know about them. And for Rutherford, he's such an enigma to me. He's always just kind of this one-note guy. And all of a sudden we just get this huge insight into who he is and his past and everything.
Yeah, because he always comes across as this really nice guy. But we've never really gotten anything about his past other than clearly he had some kind of accident because he's got implants, cybernetic implants.
Well, yeah, and what were those about and how did he get them and were they by choice and is he made that way? Is he actually human? Like, what's his deal?
Yep, so today we got those answers.
Come on, keep it together.
So the show starts off with Rutherford having a nightmare, and in that dream he's trying to prevent maybe a warp core explosion. I don't know, some kind of explosion. And if you look really
disaster,
and if you look really close, there's a reflection on the comms panel, and you see that he doesn't have any implants. He has both eyes.
Right. No visor, and obviously with everything that these showrunners do, everything is put there for a reason. Nothing's thrown away. So we know that that's going to play into the show.
Yep. So it has an explosion and then it goes right to the show open. So you're just like, okay, all right, something's up. This is going to be good.
10 seconds.
Yeah, it was a real quick.
It was really great.
Yeah, it was a real quick. I think probably their quickest cold open.
The recruitment booth, no!
Well, someone's got to do it.
Do they? Because last time I checked, nobody's ever signed up for Starfleet at the recruitment booth. I did! You're not helping. Sorry!
And then we open the show, and it's Captain's Log, and the Cerritos is at Telgana 4, And their mission there is updating Federation consulates' power systems. Pretty typical stuff.
Yeah, just a straightforward job, nothing spectacular there. But Mariner finds out that she's been assigned to a Starfleet recruitment booth, and I think this is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. And she has to do it because here comes Ransom again, and he's telling her, you have to do this and get down there and don't screw it up.
Yeah, because she's kind of blowing it off. She's not really into it and doesn't want to do it. She wants to be, assigned to something else. And I think it's really, really funny that Starfleet has recruitment booths. And for me, the summer before my freshman year in college, there was this recruiter who called me every week. Now I had an orchestra scholarship, so I was doing fine, and I was definitely going to school. But this recruiter called me every week to see if I was still going to go to college. It was the funniest thing. I was like, "Yep, wow. I'm still going." But
I'm definitely going to college.
Yeah, and so recruiters are pretty aggressive. So it's funny that Starfleet's doing the same.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. We've been to the academy. We've seen all kinds of insights into the cadets, but yeah, never recruitment. So that was, and it made for such a hilarious B story too. It was really great.
Yeah.
Ow!
You okay, Rutherford? Man, you look wiped.
I haven't slept in a week. I keep having the same crazy nightmare.
Looks like you've got some long-term memories stuck in the buffer. Want me to purge the cache?
Yes, anything to help me sleep.
And so, Mariner and Boimler get on the shuttle and they head out. But Rutherford is there working, and you can tell that he hasn't slept, and he's really off.
He's really stressed out and confesses such. I just haven't slept in a week, and I'm really exhausted, and it's hard for him.
Yeah, and so, Tendi checks him out because, Tendi works in the medical wing of the ship, and she gives him a scan, and she detects that there are long-term memories in his buffer, and, Tendi tries to delete them.
Right, so she's like, if I'll just clear this cache out, and you'll be right as rain. So she does it.
Yeah, and so... go ahead.
Yeah. No, please.
And the thing here is I've always wondered about Rutherford and his memories, because remember at the end of season 1, he was in that tragic accident when Shaq sacrificed himself aboard the Packlet ship and pulled out his implant.
Right.
And then his memory was erased.
Yeah.
And he had to start over.
And we tend to think like, okay, so that's possible. Like he's got mostly a brain, but that implant's gonna be able to affect his memory. And that they're not gonna throw that story away. And now we're looking at it. Now we're seeing that story.
Yeah, so it just opens up the door, because now I'm really, really intrigued by what residual memories does he have? Because if he's a robot, it kind of reminds me of like RoboCop. Remember, they tried to clean him, but he had residual memories of his life with his family and his time before he was murdered, basically.
It's funny that you chose RoboCop. I had more of a Wolverine kind of vibe going on there, but we could talk about that later, because there's some other stuff that comes up in it.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the booth not exciting enough for you?
Yeah, actually, it's the worst, and I'm really glad you said something. Can we get a different assignment, please?
I don't care if you like it. That's not the point.
No, the point is to give us work nobody cares about, so the captain can tick off a meaningless box.
So Mariner and Boimler go down to the surface. Obviously, Mariner's not excited about it. Boimler doesn't seem to care too much. They're gonna be there on recruitment day and having to work this booth, and they've got all this stuff for the booth. It's a typical booth.
If you so much as step 1 foot out of that booth, I will transfer you to Starbase 80.
Starbase 80?
Don't joke about that. Starbase 80's the worst.
Yeah, and now Mariner, what was really interesting was when Ransom jumped down her throat about doing this task. He threatened that if she didn't do it right, that she'd be sent to this remote Starbase 80. And it was the first time that I ever saw her react in that way. She literally straightened up, because that was a huge threat.
Yeah, so like I was scanning my own brain as to Starbase 80. Has this ever been part of any story, and I don't recall it at all. Are you familiar with Starbase 80? Is this a new thing?
No, I know nothing about Starbase 80. So I was like, just like you, trying to go back into my memory banks and try to figure out, has this popped up in any other storylines across the Star Trek series? But nothing to my recollection. Maybe it's just a dreadful place to go.
Yeah, and I think, like, to your original point, it really showed how he really shook her in a way that we hadn't seen before. He kind of got her goat there, you know?
Yeah, and I think that when Captain Freeman assigned her to Ransom, that was probably the best thing that she ever did.
Yeah, as a mother and as a captain.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Ah, my f***ing head. Did I even go out last night? Wait, what's going on here? Ugh, those are the ugliest nacelles I've ever seen. And who put the engineering down there? That's stupid.
So we find Rutherford sleeping.
And he appears to be, you know, there's some kind of short or something in his visor.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it goes from that typical blue to this menacing red.
Yep. And then Rutherford gets out of bed and he sounds different. He's like angry, irritated, but he's also cocky and more sure of himself. He's like actually like bad boy cool.
Yeah, and the voice is different. And again, this is so in line with Trek because it, you know, a lot of the episodes are about how some alien presence or some alien thought can get into your brain and change you. You know, I mean, we've seen everything from Geordi becoming a lizard to people becoming children. You know, the Captain Picard was made a teenager once. And I mean, all of these transformations, and such a staple in Star Trek, and they're doing it here, and I liked it because we weren't sure if he was, you know, if it was a short in his system or something else. We just don't know.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is it's actually more plausible because he is cybernetic. So, you know, is this a software flaw or, you know, or major malfunction? We don't know. And so, you know, this version of Rutherford, who I'm calling Cocky Rutherford, so Cocky Rutherford is like walking around. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know why he has these implants. And so he takes a look out the window and bashes the ship. What is this, California class? Once again, we're bashing the Cerritos.
Right, of course. And that surprised me, too, because that's when I did think it was an alien. Like, someone has taken over his body because they're new to Rutherford's experience.
Holy moly. What the heck is happening here? Hey, let me out of here. Hey, you, give me back control of my body. Psst. Nah, dude, this is my body. You already effed it up.
You know, like, what is this? Where are we? I'm going to trash this. And he's like, no, don't do that. No. He's trying to stop him the whole time. Yep.
What I call Righteous Rutherford is what I'm calling him.
Oh, my God, you're so funny.
Righteous Rutherford, you know, appears in a reflection in the mirror, and he's arguing with Cocky Rutherford. And it's clear that, you know, Righteous Rutherford doesn't have his body anymore.
Yeah. And he's stuck in this panel like we saw in the teaser. And, you know, the Cocky Rutherford is messing with the mind of Righteous Rutherford. And I love that they're arguing because then we find out immediately that somehow he has split himself. This is like when Riker split, you know, in Next Generation, and we've seen that too. But Righteous Rutherford is stuck in this glass world, reflection world, where he can't have a physical body, and he's forced to watch while Cocky Rutherford is, you know, going to take over, and they start arguing about it, and he's like, please don't do this.
Yeah, and once again, Cocky Rutherford is like, what is this device on my face? So you're just like going, okay, this could go in a number of directions.
Do you have to go to Starfleet Academy to work on a ship?
Thank you for asking. No, not at all. You can enlist as an NCO and then go to the Tech Services Academy on Mars. You could work in a transporter bay. How about that?
Hey, pal, you're signing up for 7 years in a windowless room.
Wait, really?
Don't listen to her. The ships have, like, tons of windows. It's, like, practically a greenhouse, all right? It's just not, like, every single room.
Okay, so back down on the planet, we're at the recruitment booth. Mariner and Boimler are there. And it's a very funny situation because they're in this little blue booth and they're part of this whole job fair thing, and there's this woman next to them who's kind of like chill and all of that, and we get into her in a minute, but like Mariner's definitely feeling the pressure of having to do this right, and like actually recruit people, and it's ticking her off.
Yeah, and this archaeologist is undermining her sales pitch. So you have these people that are coming up. Hey, can I fly a ship, or if I join Starfleet? And she's trying to do her sales pitch.
Yeah,
are there windows?
She throws it on. Yeah. Oh, sure, for some people, maybe the officers, but get ready to live in a windowless room for the next 4 years, and they're like, bye-bye.
Yep. Yeah. And so automatically,
That's
know
great.
that there's going to be, friction between the two of them, and that's going to carry out throughout this episode.
Hey there, pretty lady.
Hey, Rutherford, what's
No,
up?
no, don't talk to her. Everything now that I ran into you. Trill, huh? Those spots go all the way down?
Excuse me?
Barnes, call the captain. He's an alien or something.
We go right back to Rutherford on the ship. Now, our cocky Rutherford is, hitting on this woman that righteous Rutherford's liked for, I think it's been 4 years. 4 dates. We went on 4 dates. I didn't know that he went on 4 dates.
Yeah, I didn't know he was dating. I always thought that it was a Tindy thing, but I guess they're friends.
So that's when righteous Rutherford gets tricked into, or just vulnerably mentions Tindy, who is, his special friend, and cocky Rutherford's like, who's that? I want to see that.
Yep. So he locates her on the ship.
Rutherford, are you okay? Let me take a look at your implant.
Get away from me, I'm fine.
Ensign Tindy to sickbay. I need an emergency medical team on deck 11.
So he goes to meet her because he wants to, see who this is, right? And he doesn't know who it is. She picks up immediately that it's not Rutherford, and she starts to scan him, and he doesn't want any part of that. So he throws her down on the ground and takes off. And she's like, okay, something's up. She calls for the medical team because she knows something's happening here.
Yeah, and it's a good pickup on, Tindy's part, because this is her friend, and she's constantly been engaged in his health, especially since the accident after the Packlet battle. And so so she calls, the medical team. So I'm just like, oh boy, it's on now.
And it's interesting that it's medical, not security, too. So she knows that there's something going on with him, physiologically. He's not a bad guy.
Exactly. So anything that he does that's aggressive is going to be out of character. So it was a good pickup on her part.
Lady, if you are really dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, then you're kind of limiting yourself by not being in Starfleet, actually.
Ooh, actually, I was in Starfleet. Petra Aberdeen. Graduated the academy, did a tour in the fleet before wising up and getting out.
So we get back down to the planet, and Mariner and the archaeologist are going at it. I mean, it's just like at every turn, Mariner's sales pitches are being undermined.
Right, and you're thinking, well, how does this archaeologist know all this? And she admits she was once in Starfleet. And that just, oh my God, that just ticks Mariner off so much.
Yeah, and what was really, really interesting about this is that we've known Mariner to just be kind of this reckless character who kind of haphazardly, because of her actions, goes from ship to ship to ship. And in this moment, because she's trying to defend Starfleet, you do understand that there is a core there, and there is loyalty to Starfleet.
Just like you would be loyal to your crazy parent, right? And her mom is captain. It's in her blood. Her mother's a captain. She grew up. Yeah, it's definitely part of her.
Yeah, and her dad's an admiral, so it runs through her, like you said.
Come on.
Togana 4 has an ion field. Transporter won't get a solid lock. You know that, Baby Bear. Unless you aren't you.
My nickname's Baby Bear? That's stupid.
So, okay, we go back to the ship, and we find cocky Rutherford trying to get off the ship, trying to beam out if he can. He runs to the transporter room, but Shax shows up and reminds him that he can't beam down to the planet because of atmospheric interference. So cocky Rutherford falls for this, and he beams over to something that I was so thrilled to see, and that's the captain's yacht. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what the captain's yacht is, I knew this when I got the Starfleet technical manual for the Enterprise D, and the Enterprise E actually used the captain's yacht. It's the captain's actual own shuttle that is always nestled at the bottom of the saucer section, right in the middle there, and it detaches and goes down. So I loved that they used that. It's just another wonderful Easter egg And again, for those listening, if you didn't know what the captain's yacht is, you should look it up because it's rarely talked about or used, and I love that they did that.
Yeah, the last time we saw the captain's yacht, I think, was in Star Trek
Nemesis. Yeah, they went down to the planet to investigate Data B4. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So when he's beams onto the shuttle, he's getting ready to take off, and Shax shows up. Shax was right there, and he's like, "Can't go, baby bear." He calls him baby bear.
Baby bear. And then I'm thinking, okay, so last week we find out he's having sex with a cat, and now he's calling Rutherford baby bear, and I'm wondering, is there a connection here? Is there something going on? Is that his son?
Yeah, that's a really good question, but maybe it just had to do with the fact that, remember, he sacrificed himself, during the Packlet battle, and pushed him into the shuttle and saved his life.
Ensign Rutherford is still himself, but his memory and personality are from a decade ago. It's almost like a backup overwrote his brain. Cerebral activity's high. Something's going on in there. We'll just have to wait and see which Rutherford wakes up.
So they get him over to sickbay, which is crucial. And I love that they're not throwing him in the brig. They're taking care of him, and this is all Tendi doing that. She took care of him, and they discover pretty quickly that his memories from over a decade ago have overwritten his brain. So it's like when Tendi cleared out his cache, she kind of cleared out everything, and the old stuff that was in the way back files came to life and started to take over.
Yeah, so I take it his brain's been partitioned, and that partition has broken down.
And I think you and I got this at the same time, and everyone did. Okay, now we get it. He's just a younger version. That's who Cocky Rutherford is.
Yeah, he's actually really cool, and you can see the cockiness comes through, and that's why I called him Cocky Rutherford, because he's just like,
yeah, and
really,
because he's younger.
Yeah,
he's a younger version, without all the pain and the heartache and all this stuff. But then this whole new mystery starts to build, which is fantastic. Which is, okay, well, where did he come from, and maybe why doesn't young Rutherford have implants, and where do they come from, and we start to see images of the past. This is where I had the Wolverine revelation. When Wolverine was turned into Wolverine at Alkali Lake, it's the same thing.
Yep, exactly.
His memory was wiped,
Yeah, and it's really cool. So clearly something catastrophic happened. And at this point, I'm like going, this dude's so cocky that probably it was at his own hand.
What if someone asks why he hasn't?
We programmed that in. He'll think it was elective.
You tried to erase all the memories that made us cool, but it didn't work. The brain is more complicated than that, and it kept my cool ass stored away.
Then we get this new reveal, which we see these two men are operating on him. And we hear one of them say, what if someone asks why he has this implant? They'll say they'll program the implant to make Rutherford believe that it was elective surgery. So they're like, how is he going to do that? And they're like, wipe his memory. Right, so this was an Alkali Lake kind of thing. This was done to him, so it wasn't elective.
Yeah, I mean, it was a major reveal, and I was just like, okay. So the plot thickens, and it's just like, okay, there are others involved, other ranking people, and maybe he was on some kind of mission. Maybe it was illegal. Who knows? Righteous Rutherford wanted to know why hadn't he taken over before then, and he's like, dude, I've been trying. Why do you think your implant's always malfunctioning? And then I was like, oh yes, his implant has always malfunctioned, and so there's the reason why. So it was a nice payoff there.
Which tells me that they probably wrote this story for Rutherford 3 years ago. Yeah. 3 seasons ago, right? When they started. Like, someday we're going to reveal this guy and what happened to him.
Yeah.
And this is the beauty of this, is it's not just funny. There's some good, pithy stories here. I'm really now, this might be my favorite episode so far of Lower Decks. I just thought it was just really well done.
What is this place anyway? This is our garage, man. We used to sneak off from the academy to build our sick racing ships here. That's cool, but why the sneaking? Because of stupid Starfleet. They never let us test our own engines.
So Righteous Rutherford and Cocky Rutherford, are now fighting for control of Rutherford's body, and so they challenge each other to a
contest.
Race. Yeah, a contest.
Yeah, it's a contest to see. It's like Pink Slips. Whoever wins gets to have the body.
Fast and the Furious.
So off they go. They go into their. They shut out each other from their rooms and they start to build stuff. And Righteous Rutherford, starts with this shape, and you're like, that looks familiar. And it's a replica of the Delta Flyer from Voyager, the Tom Paris's design, from Voyager. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, it was a good throwback.
Oh, great, the Collectors Guild. Well, look at this. Word's getting around you little ensigns can't leave the booth.
The only thing you two collect is dust.
Oh, now that was collectible.
Yeah, well, that was dumb, and you should hate yourself. So there.
And then meanwhile on the planet, more and more people are just teasing Mariner about Starfleet. And she's getting more and more, bent out of shape about it. But, Boimler keeps pulling her back. Stay on task, stay at the booth, because she can't step away from the booth. Ransom has told her. So she's exercising a lot of restraint for a change.
And Boimler, who's kept his cool, starts to get ticked off because people are giving him a hard time. They're like messing with his uniform and pulling at it and stuff. And Boimler loses it. He just loses it, giving everybody, just screaming at everybody about Starfleet and their role in their lives and how important it's been.
I thought that was a brilliant moment. And the moment that lady took his rank pin off of his lapel, I mean, that set him off. And I get that. And, I've been part of organizations that I'm really proud of, and then somebody tries to diss on it. I'm a frat guy. And I've been a part of, serious organizations. And when people come in and disrespect it without trying to understand, it really ticks you off. So he had enough, and he just went off and just started telling everybody. He's like, what? We protect you from this, and this, while you do this, this, and this. I mean, he was just going at it.
Without Starfleet, none of you would exist! We don't want to protect you from the Klingons and the Borg. We just want to explore and study f***ing quasars! But you know what? It's the right thing to do!
Go, get back in the booth! What if Ransom shows up?
Stupid f***ing truthers, you hate the truth! You're just a bunch of pathetic, gossipy weirdos!
And as this whole thing's going on, and Boimler's going nuts, the archaeologist slips away a little bit and goes off to that building that's behind.
Yeah. I mean, there was always something about her that was just a little too smooth.
Last man standing takes all, bro. Rear up power to aft shields. Let's put some space between us and that cruiser. What are you, talking to yourself? Nope. Talking to my crew.
We come back to the race, and it's underway, and they're kind of tit for tat, and Righteous Rutherford is in the Flyer, and Cocky Rutherford is in that souped up. It looks like it's got the double, it's got the nacelles there, and they're doing pretty well. Somehow Cocky Rutherford gets ahead, and the next thing you know, an alien ship shows up right in their lane.
And starts attacking them, and you can see that Cocky Rutherford's been bloodied. He's bleeding from the head, and he's in trouble. He's in real trouble.
So I wasn't sure what was going on here. I didn't know if this was a simulation or if they were actually doing this, because it was a full-on Romulan warbird ship. I mean, like a full complement of weapons and stuff, and it's shooting at this little shuttle, which of course is going to get damaged.
Yeah.
That was real, right?
No, it was all in their head. This whole thing has been in Rutherford's head.
That's where I got confused, because I was like, well, how is the Romulan ship showing up, and how is he getting damaged? Like, injured?
Yeah, it was just a world that they created. Because remember, there was a certain point when he conjured up a tricorder or something, and Righteous Rutherford, conjured up a tool. So it's in their head.
Right, this is all going while he's laying down in sickbay.
Not sure.
Yeah, I was really confused. But as Cocky Rutherford his ship gets severely damaged and then it explodes, Righteous Rutherford, beams him out, saves him, and then that whole vision ends. And it turns out, as you said, it was just a made-up thing, and Cocky Rutherford admits that Righteous Rutherford is the man that he's glad he grew into.
Yeah, and that he should have control of their body.
I guess Starfleet taught you something after all. No, don't say that. Just hang in there, okay? You're gonna be okay. We just need to engineer a solution. I just remembered how we got the implant. Remember.
And then and then in a split second, he remembers what took place, and he puts his hand up to, Righteous Rutherford's head, a la Star Trek, Star Trek Wrath of Khan. Remember,
of course, yep.
And then we see what actually happened.
It was just so great. Yeah. This was the moment where I sat up and I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Just that remember moment. And that's when you can hear someone saying, this will set us back years. And we see a high-ranking official officer being asked how much Rutherford's memory needs to be erased. This is all the setback. He was damaged. Half his face was severely damaged, and that's why they had to put that implant on him. Yeah, and you can tell this is like super off the books.
Yeah. It was an experiment that was completely unsanctioned. And some high-ranking officials pulling all the strings, and he's a shadow face. So that lets me know that this story, we haven't heard the last of this. There's more to this story, and we're going to find out eventually, hopefully, that who it is, who did this, and what was their mission.
I really want to know, because the shadow government, or for lack of a better word, shadow operation in Starfleet and Star Trek for the last 55 years has been Section 31. It's permeated every series. And I'm wondering if this is a Section 31 thing.
Then Rutherford comes back as we have come to know him. He's Righteous Rutherford wins. Yep. And cocky Rutherford concedes and kind of dies, a la Star Wars. Yeah. He just fades away. Yeah.
He just fades away. He becomes a phantom. But I think that also means that his programming won't be able to come back. Because I think as he died and he agreed to, he went away. So,
but the memories stay.
We may not see him again. Yeah, the memories there, but we may not be able to see. It'll be enough for, in other words, it would be great to have cocky Rutherford come back and help Righteous Rutherford figure out what happened. But cocky Rutherford knows, so we shouldn't have him back. It wouldn't help.
Yeah, and Righteous Rutherford did offer to merge so that they could have the best of the best, but cocky Rutherford conceded and said, no, be with your friends. Yeah. This is a better version of you.
I meant what I said, Ensign. You knowingly disobeyed a direct order.
Are you going to send me to Starbase 80?
Oh, God, no. That place is a hellhole. You're just going to spend a night in the brig.
Wow, I've never been sent to the brig before. I hope you don't think less of me.
We go back to Ransom. We're wrapping up our B story here. And Boimler's told by Ransom that he actually respects him for defending Starfleet, but he's got to spend one day in the brig. They're walking down the hall. He's like, as soon as you get out, we're going to have a drink and talk about it.
Which is what he wants anyway. Because remember, Boimler lives to rub shoulders with the ranking officers. Absolutely. And so this gives him that opportunity. So, bold Boimler, I suppose.
And we find out why was this archaeologist in this story. Turns out that she wanted that distraction of either Boimler or Mariner getting upset enough to cause a distraction so she could go and steal an artifact.
Exactly. And the archaeologist kind of said, hey, I see the potential in you. You're an independent thinker. Maybe you should join me when you're fed up with playing by the rules.
And here's the thing about that. I think this is a long game with this story. First of all, we know that Mariner likes girls, and it could be that she's attracted to this girl and this girl's attracted to her. And maybe at the end of this series, in a couple more years, 3 years from now, maybe she does. Maybe this is part of her arc. I think they're doing a lot more in this show than just making jokes.
Exactly. It's actually layered.
I'm so impressed by it.
Yeah, the writers are doing a really good job. It's by telling the story of Rutherford, you can see that there are things that are motivated, and they take their time for it to play out, because this whole cyborg thing, all kind of started back in season 1, and you're just getting some payoffs here and there, and they're leaving the breadcrumbs. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Well, Anthony, another great week, but we want to definitely tell our favorite moment of this episode, and I'm going to hand it over to you to tell me first. What's your favorite moment of this episode?
Well, I had to. I loved it when Boimler, my number 2 moment is Boimler, having his meltdown. I just cracked up. He just went off because he's always so controlled. He's such a, always been such a kiss ass. So to see him go off Mariner style, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I like that too. I only have one favorite. I'll go ahead and do it. I have to say that, in the sense of this being Rutherford's episode, and the whole thing was so impressive, to make it that Wolverine type story, and that moment when cocky Rutherford puts his hands on righteous Rutherford and says, "Remember," and there's this connection there. For me, it took the series from interesting, well-done comedy to, wow, this is really something. This is a real series. I'm really digging this. And that kind of changed the series for me. I take it much more seriously.
Yeah. They went deeper, and I really appreciate that. I 100% agree with you. And of course, that's my number 1. That was the lead of this whole entire episode. And I'm looking forward to more. I think it's going to be really, really great. All right, well, that wraps up this Lower Decks edition of Energize. Thank you for listening. And if you want to hear more of our episodes, whether that be Lower Decks or Strange New Worlds, check us out at www.energizepodcasts.com. That's podcast with an S.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Anthony McLemore.
I'm Steve Truitt. Live long and prosper.